Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys at Magic. This is Hunter, Steven, David, and Shane. Say what up, boys.
What up, boys?
What up, boys?
What up, nerd boys?
I love it. We are back. This time we are doing our Commander Grades video for the Monocolored Legendaries from the Brothers War. So, we got a lot to talk about today. Not as many as Dominaria United, thank God. But there is still a hefty amount. So let's just go ahead and jump straight into it. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe if you like the content, and like the video if you like the video. So this first card, Loran, Disciple of History. Loran, Disciple of History is 3 and a white for a 3/3 legendary creature, Human Artificer. It says whenever Loran, Disciple of History, or another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Steven, let's start with you.
I don't see this getting much play. I'll be honest with you. You can maybe get this off like once or twice, but once it's done, people kind of see what you're doing. They'll kill it to the point where it costs too much for you to even care.
Yeah, I was kind of seeing this just as like a flicker for value type thing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Flicker here is really solid, but at the end of the day, it's still like once people see what you're doing, she gonna die.
You don't have to flicker it though, dude. You can also just play legendary creatures.
Yeah, I understand that. But as just like a backup, kind of just flicker this or flicker any of your other legendaries. Seems solid, but I don't really see this being too crazy. David, what do you think?
There's got to be a loop with this, right?
No,
There's always a loop in white.
it goes to your hand though. So
I know, but like if you're sacrificing an artifact with like I don't know, like if it's an artifact creature that you're sacrificing, like Ashnod's Altar, or if you're burning an artifact or something like that to Crackland Ironworks. I don't know. I mean, you're making mana and you're potentially grabbing something back so long as you're playing that legendary creature. I don't know. I feel like there might be something that you can actually do with this.
You could probably make unlimited colorless mana, right? If you sacked, let's say, Soul Ring, and then put that back in your hand for 1. Get it. What Crackland Ironworks gives you 2, correct?
Yeah,
Yes,
it gives you 2.
colorless.
And I mean, you could use like an Eldrazi Displacer or something like that to guarantee that you're getting repeated flicker effects. I mean, I think that there actually is probably more here than what you guys have led on to. At the same time, I kind of do agree. This is 4 mana for a creature that, for the most part, I think is going to probably just be better in the 99 of an artifact-based deck, and like it's cool value. And if it just like sits around, it's still going to be doing something over the course of the game. This isn't like a dead card, but this isn't something that my opponent's going to sit down with, and I'm thinking I'm really going to be afraid of.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. Shane, what do you think of this?
I don't know. I don't know how to grade cards with recursion abilities that have to deal with combos because I never really sit down and play the combo deck. But yeah, I'm sure there's a way to do cool things, like David said. But
I mean, at the end of the day, you
are
can only
winning?
do those cool things whenever a legendary or this comes back into the battlefield. So you have to find an infinite blinking loop as well.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, is that loop winning you the game or just netting you the mana to hopefully win the game? I don't.
Like I don't want us to focus on a potential combo loop because I mean, like, ultimately there's probably ways that we could break just about every commander. I was just wanting to bring it up because I do think that there is more than just like, hey, flicker this once or twice and maybe you get an artifact or 2 back over the course of a game. I think that for the most part that's probably going to be exactly what that does. But I do want to at least acknowledge the fact that I think that the ceiling is higher on this card.
Yeah, I'll give you that. So let's move on to the grades. I'll start. I'm giving this a D. I don't see the line, so D.
Yeah, I'll go next. This is a D.
All right, I'm going to give this thing a C. I think that honestly it just sits around as a value engine, and I think for the most part that's probably going to be good enough. It'll do some things.
I'll give it a D as well.
All right. Well, that average for Loran, Disciple of History, is a D. Moving on to another Loran. This is Loran of the Third Path. Loran of the Third Path is 2 and a white for a 2/1 legendary creature, Human Artificer. It's got Vigilance. It says when it enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. And you can tap this. You and target opponent each draw a card. So I kind of wrote similar to the last one. You can also flicker this for value. I know we're in white, so flicker is kind of like the effect there. But
I don't.
yeah,
They both have ETBs that like you probably want to take advantage of.
exactly.
I mean, this has a way better ETB in my opinion.
Does
Killing
it?
shit, yeah.
When it enters the battlefield, specifically this one. Now, granted, I understand that the other one specified that it had to be just any legendary, but I mean, if we're talking about flicker, like we were the other one, this constantly getting flickered into the battlefield, you're destroying your opponent's ramp.
It's true. I'll give you that.
Then if you use her, you're giving them cards.
I mean, if
Yeah,
you
that's
tap
the
her,
only
sure.
thing I said I wasn't a fan on. Just the fact that you are helping people.
But at least it's like you will help yourself at the same time. But
It's
Yeah,
politics.
she's like not a net negative. You're going to be drawing a card as well, which like the downside of you giving your opponent a card does suck, but ultimately you have 3 opponents and you're guaranteed to draw a card each time.
Yeah. you just target the opponent that's not in the lead.
Yeah, make a deal with somebody. It's a cool politics card. I actually do like this.
Hey Dave, you want to draw a card?
Exactly.
Don't hit me for the next turn. So yeah, I think we're all on board with this. Let's move on to the grades right away. Steven, start with you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go solid C. I think it's a very middle of the road commander option.
I'm jumping on board with you there too. C for me.
I think I'm gonna give it a C as well, dude.
C's across the board then.
Alrighty, easy one to grade. That average here for Loran of the Third Path is a C. Next up is Myrel, Shield of Argive. Myrel, Shield of Argive is 3 and a white for a 3/4 legendary creature human soldier. It says during your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. And whenever Myrel attacks, create X 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature tokens, where X is the number of soldiers you control. I would like to start with Shane, Mr. Stacks player.
I knew you were gonna say that, dude. I could definitely see myself playing this in a stacks deck, dude. As the commander, you can't cast any spells, dude. Let's go. So it's stapled on the commander right there. That's perfect. And you also know that I like going soldiers, and you're probably gonna go a little token route just to maybe finish off the game because whenever I play stacks, I have a hard time winning. I just basically don't let you guys play. That could just be a me problem, but this seems like a really fun card to have a stacks based soldier-esque pumping up win deck.
I love that. Yeah,
There's
it
a
is
lot there, yeah.
it's definitely a grand abolisher kind of stapled onto kind of a rabble rousing in a way, which I think
Ish,
is
yeah.
very cool. I already have a mono white humans deck, so if I didn't have that, I would build this 100%.
Too bad that they're not mono white soldier humans.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're artifact creatures actually. Wow.
Yes, sir. Soldier artifacts. David.
Yeah.
Your turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know what else to add to this. I think that for the most part, y'all pretty much already got it. It wants to slow down your opponent's game plan. It wants to also just kind of accelerate its own. It reminds me in many ways of like a white version of Kranko, which is cool. I don't know. It helps you out with your combat because your opponents aren't going to be able to interfere with your combat. I'm not super high on this commander in all honesty, though.
Why?
I think that like it's a cool token producer. It's just like this is a card that is going to piss a lot of people off.
That's the name of the game, baby.
Limiting when they can and can't do something. So I think this is a commander that's probably going to generate a bit more hate than average. And if this is eating removal, your deck is probably not doing as well.
I can just leave us alone for a little bit, dude.
Yeah, it's got to be removal on not your turn, so that's cool.
They can wait another turn.
I mean, you still have to cast this thing for 4 and then potentially pass a turn. That's going to be 3 opportunities, 3 turns normally, assuming you're playing with 4 people that they're going to have the opportunity to take care of this before it ever swings.
I mean, this is Grand Abolisher with more upside. I mean, it costs a little bit more. You get some more power and toughness, but I mean, essentially, you do get the Kranko-esque, ability down there. I think it's really cool. I think I understand what David's saying. I understand what you and Shane are saying, but at the same time, I I think, this card with the stacks pieces, and then also probably one of the new cards from Brothers War that we've talked about recently was also Rescue Retriever. So flash that little doggy in, and you got some more power for your soldiers. So I think that's really cool too.
The fact that no one can interact with you on your turn seems pretty solid. You don't have to worry about counters or.
Yeah, I mean, but like David said, this will be a hate bearer. I think you'll get maybe like 1 or 2 games in, and people will be like, "That's got to die."
True. I get you. Let's move on to the grades. Shane, we'll start with you.
I do like this. I don't know if I'd play it, but I do like it. I'm gonna give it a C.
Oh wow! Well, I'm giving this a B.
I'm gonna give this a B as well. I actually don't think that this makes for a very good stacks commander. I think this is probably just much better as a soldier-based tribal commander.
That's why I'm on board.
I'm gonna go B.
All right. The average there for Myrel is a B. Moving on to the first mono blue. This is Drafna, founder of Lat-Nam. Drafna, founder of Lat-Nam, is 1 in a blue for a 2/1 legendary creature human artificer advisor. Has an ability where you can pay 1 in a blue to return target artifact you control to its owner's hand. And another ability where you can pay 3 and tap it to copy target artifact spell you control. Very powerful effects here. We'll start with David. What do we think?
I love this card. It's cheap. It comes in super, super quickly. It's not incredibly flashy, so it's probably not going to generate a ton of hate. And it just sits around and generates so much value. I mean, he's excellent in the early game because you can just copy, I guess, the small things. And then in the later portion of the game, if you need a mana sink, go ahead and bounce those artifacts back to your hand, and then just start casting them again and copying them over and over and over again. He's insane.
Which is why I disagree with you saying it won't generate hate. Because I feel like this card is a kill on sight commander. You have so many artifacts that have ETB triggers. This is definitely an ETB trigger artifact themed deck, right?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, he's doing a lot, but if you read the card, like he's not pressuring your opponent's life totals per se. It's the things, obviously, that, yes, are going to be in the deck that are going to be putting that kind of pressure on your opponents. But 2 mana for a 2/1 that doesn't help you out in combat whatsoever, doesn't generate card advantage for you, at least not on the card itself. Like, he's not doing a ton. So I feel oftentimes that removal is probably going to be directed towards the other cards in the 99. And then in the later portion of the game, like, I don't know, he can just take over.
Mr. Blue Player Shane, what do you think?
Steven had a lot to say about this.
Yeah, the other blue player.
Yeah.
All right, we'll give it to the Demir player. Go on.
I mean, to be honest with you, man, this card's nuts. I mean, I know we go A, B, C, D, or F, but I really do think that this is an S tier commander in my mind, just because, I'm just, listen, dude, I'm just saying it, like, its cost, it's low to the ground, its copy target artifact spell you control is nuts. So, I mean, literally, the first thing I thought of when I saw this card was just the, Isochron Scepter dramatic reversal, and just making as many things as you want. I mean, this is literally just insane value in my mind.
Like CEDH value?
Yeah, 100%.
Interesting.
I mean,
think I like it, but I don't know.
I mean, if you were able to copy 1,000 Soul Rings, you know what I mean? Just like constantly be able to pay the 3, untap, pay the 3, untap, pay the 3, untap. I mean, this is insane. And then just like Hunter, you were saying, there are tons of artifacts with ETB effects that, we kind of saw in the Mishra precon, where as soon as they enter the battlefield, you draw a card, or when they leave the battlefield, you draw a card. So then you just copy those. So you're drawing your entire deck. I mean, this literally has CEDH written all over it.
Yeah, maybe that's why I'm not like drawn to this immediately, because it is this. You guys are talking about a line of play that I don't typically do, so I can acknowledge that, yes, it's strong, but I don't think this card would be for everybody.
I'm actually going to disagree with Steven on his CEDH point. I think being in mono blue really hampers this. And if you are going to be playing with the Dramatic Scepter deck, there are better options out there with this limiting you in terms of color choice. Plus, like, you need a fucking ton of mana, which the deck obviously revolves around generating a ton of mana. But you need it to do anything here.
I mean, yeah, I will agree with you that you will need a ton of mana, but again, in CEDH, where for some people where price isn't an issue, you can mana crypt, chrome mox, you have all the moxes. I think
I think we're kind of devolving here. I don't think we should be trying to focus on a CDH mindset. I'm just simply saying that like I don't think this is good enough for CEDH.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we won't devolve any further. I completely disagree.
Well, let's see the grades then. Steven, we'll start with you.
I'll give it an A.
David,
I'm also still sticking with an A.
look at you guys, rejoiced.
I love how they're on opposite ends, but still with the A. That's cute.
We're not on opposite ends here at all. We're both saying that the card is very good.
I'm gonna give this a B.
I
Just
am
a B.
also going to go ahead and give it a B. But the average goes the higher grade, and the higher grade here is an A.
Whoa!
Next up is Drafna's wife. This is Hurkyl, Master Wizard. Hurkyl, Master's Wizard is 1 and 2 blue for a 2/4 legendary creature, human wizard advisor. It says at the beginning of your end step, if you've cast a non-creature spell this turn, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. For each card type among non-creature spells you've cast this turn, you may put a card of that type from among the revealed cards into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Huh. This is a weird one for me.
I remember being very stoked on this card when we talked about it in spoilers.
You were. You want to talk
Yeah,
about it
'cause we-
more?
Yeah, well, it's a little redundant, but okay, yes. We were talking about that. It could be very easy to just be drawing 3+ cards a turn if you're playing different spell types, right? So it just kind of refills your hand at the end of the turn. Seems pretty good in blue.
Definitely has the whiff potential though, so it kind of
Oh yeah,
you got to jump through quite the amount of hoops. But I mean, you have to be playing a lot of cards to be drawing a lot of cards, and I get that. It's very doable. But I don't know. I don't
the
understand
whiff.
it.
Yeah, the whiff is there. I get that too. I'm just saying, in a deck that you're, let's say, dumping hands and then refilling at the end of the turn, that's how you win Magic, boys. Card advantage.
And that's what I put down for my notes on this card. I was like, it's a little specific for me, but it's card draw, so you can't go wrong? Question mark?
Question mark?
Question mark.
Looking at
Dave.
the top 5 cards of your library, I mean, that is a pretty decent number. And I know that this is in mono blue, but I look at it like you're probably going to be casting instants and sorceries. This is also being in a mono blue deck, so artifacts are probably going to be relatively heavy here as well. Those are 3 different card types that you could potentially rip off the top. I realistically don't think you're ever not drawing at least 1 card with this.
Yeah, even if you just play the one instant or sorcery, dude, and your turn like a top 5, if you don't find one, that's super bad luck.
And like you build your deck in a way like you're in blue, you're probably going to have some very powerful draw engines. You're probably going to be able to manipulate the top card of your library or start setting it up. I mean, you do the whole brainstorm thingy. I actually really like this card. I think that you could probably build this in a way where it fairly reliably draws you 2 to 3 cards per turn. And that's a lot of card draw.
I just thought about it too. It's almost like every card you play cantrips. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Hunter,
What's up?
tell me something cool.
I already said I didn't.
Oh, that was your whole note was you had to jump through hoops?
Yeah.
Yeah, sick. Hey, dude, thanks for adding it. Yeah.
I think the hoop you need to jump through is cast a spell, which does not seem like a whole lot of hoop.
Yeah, but you cast a. Yeah, okay. All right, I'll give it to you. It's a pretty good card.
Hunter's confuzzled.
I am a little confuzzled, but let's move on to the grades. I'm still sticking. You know what? I'm gonna switch it. I was sticking with a C. I think you guys convinced me. This is how I would do this. It's a B.
Love it. I'm gonna give it a B as well, man. I think this card's awesome. Almost an A tier for me, but there is the quote unquote with potential. But every card cantripping sounds amazing.
Guess that means I'm going to go next. I'm going to give this thing a B as well. I am a huge fan of this card.
Yep, so it's a B for me.
Oh.
That average here for Hurkyl, that is a B across the board. The average is a B.
Solid B, baby.
So real quick, before we jump into the next card, I just want to go ahead and point something out to the viewers at home. One of my favorite things about doing these Commander Grade videos is we all take notes beforehand, and they're all visible and transparent to everybody else here on the channel. And you can kind of see how sometimes somebody brings up a point, and then all of the grades start changing, and all the notes start scrambling a little bit. And that's just what happened on this last card. It's probably the thing that makes me happiest in the entire world.
All right, well, now that David's happy, Hunter, what's the next card?
Next card is Urza, Powerstone Prodigy. Urza, Powerstone Prodigy is 2 and a blue for a 1/3 legendary creature human artificer. Has vigilance. You could pay 1, tap it, draw a card, then discard a card. And whenever you discard 1 or more artifact cards, create a tapped Powerstone token. This ability triggers only once each turn. What do we think here, David?
You gonna make him go first?
I am.
Okay.
I mean, look, it's little Urza, so you kind of have to hamper your expectations a little bit. I think that this card, for the most part, is pretty solid. I don't want to say super cheap. 3 mana is kind of like where I think most commanders start to enter the game a little bit. The killer for me really just kind of being it's a once per turn activity. So I don't know. And then Power Stones come in tapped past that point. There's really not a ton that you're going to be able to do with them. Power Stones, you can only use the mana to activate abilities or cast artifact spells. So you're playing a blue artifact deck, and it kind of sort of ramps you a little bit.
It's interesting that they stapled vigilance onto this card. Did it need it?
I mean, I would say probably yes, in all honesty. I actually don't think that this card is all that great, in all fairness.
Well, we'll see how powerful these Power Stones are gonna be, baby.
It's true. I think
It's an
there is a way.
artifact theme set. I mean, it's going to be pretty powerful.
I mean, this thing at its absolute best, so on turn 3, let's assume that you have another way for you to be able to discard an artifact. It requires you have an artifact in your hand, which, if you're playing an artifact deck, is not going to be that difficult for you to do. And then it makes a tapped Power Stone. So it ramps you by 1 a turn at best, and that's assuming it's doing everything that it wants to be doing.
It's also kind of slow ramp because it comes in tapped, yeah.
Yeah, so like I'm actually not very high on this card.
Me neither. I think Little Urza is not very good.
But the ability seems strong. It just
Sure.
the draw discard. That's not. I'm not gonna say that's bad, but
Steven, what do you think?
I mean, it's super strong. I love the card draw. I like being able to filter. I think that's really cool. The create a tap Power Stone token, and it only hits once each turn. I mean, it's fine. Like David said, if there's a way to untap it, you can do this, on everyone else's turn, so you're getting some more mana. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's a little bit above middle of the road. Specifically, my note said, essentially draw your entire deck with a combo. But I hear nobody likes combos, so there's that.
people like combos.
Yeah, let's move on to the grades. Steven, what are you giving it?
I'm gonna give it a B. It's still really strong.
I am sticking with my original grade. I'm giving this a C. I think it's
I'm
middle
gonna
of the road.
I'm sticking with it with you, dude. Little Urza's a C.
This is almost an F for me, in all honesty. I'm going to give it a D because it at least does something, but this is a bad card.
You're so funny, dude. I love what you do sometimes.
He's a
You
funny
bait the
man.
you bait the fuck out of people.
The average grade for Urza Powerstone Prodigy is going to be a C. Next up, we have David's favorite card. This is Ashnod Flesh Mechanist. Ashnod Flesh Mechanist is 1 black for a 1/1 legendary creature, human artificer. It's got Death Touch. It says whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, create a tapped Powerstone token. You also pay 5, exile a creature card from your graveyard, and create a tapped 3/3 colorless zombie artifact creature token. David, why is this your favorite card?
I don't know.
They needed to do something cool with this, dude, and they did.
Like they really did. I love the character. I really wish it was playable. Everything about this is awful aside from its mana value. Like the 1 mana 1/1 and the Death Touch on it are cool. Everything about this card is just doing nothing for me. This card is bad.
Keep an eye out for that deck tag, baby.
Is it not your favorite, David?
This is not my favorite. This makes me so sad.
Yeah, that's what I wrote in my notes. I wrote, poor David, poor Ashnod. This isn't good.
It's a bummer, dude.
You were
Honestly,
hyped
we
on
probably don't need
Ashnod.
to dwell on this.
Man, that's what we should do. We should literally like have a once a week deck tech on just commanders David hates.
Oh, David would hate that.
David would be the fucking one making the deck tags.
So you would hate them.
That's the point.
So I think we're all on the same board here that this is not
Yeah.
very powerful, right?
I mean, no,
No.
unless there's something we're missing.
It's fragile, slow, and has to attack.
Yeah, so let's move on to the grades right away. It still does something, so I'm going to give it a D.
You're right. It does something, and it's bad. So F.
I think I'm just gonna give it a D as well.
I'm giving this an F.
Oh,
Oof, David Ashnod F. F stands for Flesh Mechanist, right? All right. The average grade here is going to be a D. Moving on, we have Gix, Yawgmoth Praetor. Gix, Yawgmoth Praetor is 1 and 2 black for a 3/3 legendary creature, Phyrexian Praetor. Says whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may pay 1 life. If they do, they draw a card. It also has an ability where you can pay 4 and 3 black. Discard X cards, exile the top X cards of target opponent's library. You may play lands and cast spells from among cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost. Pretty cool second ability, but I don't like the ability where you can give your opponents card draw. Why is that a thing on black, David?
I don't know.
Are you still sad because of Ashnod?
I mean, like, this is like a 1-2 punch, dude. Gix, I wasn't, like, as excited for, but I was still expecting a lot of really cool things going on, and, like, it's just disappointment.
he's not mad. He's just disappointed.
This is like a weird goad mechanic where it's like, hey, if you want card draw, don't attack me. So
I mean, we've seen these kinds of effects before with Pillow 40 commanders, and yeah, you could draw cards on this too. My only gripe with this being is that with this being in mono black, you're probably not capitalizing on this as much. Now, I guess you're hurting them because every time they're going to draw a card from Gix, they're going to lose 1 life. So I guess you got him. The second ability on this, I know that you said that's cool. I think it's awful. I think it's actually probably the worst part about this card.
I mean, 7
job,
is a
Hunter.
lot. Don't get me wrong. I said it was cool. I didn't say it was good.
Yeah, I don't know. 7 mana to discard your cards, and then also most likely probably just whiff on whatever you just exiled from the top of your opponent's deck. Like, I'm not here for any of this card.
Yeah, EDH doesn't seem like the greatest of choices.
Card seems super powerful for standard because you only have 1 opponent.
Yes, sir. And it's probably will see play in standard. Mono black is a thing.
Steven.
No.
Okay, moving on to the grades. We are gonna go with David first.
It draws you cards, so it's not as bad as Ashnod, so we're going to give it a D.
Yeah, I'm giving it a D as well.
Let's all say it
Jumping
together,
on the
boys.
D train.
D.
No.
Yeah, the average there for Gix is a D. Moving on to Feldon Ronom Excavator. Feldon Ronom Excavator is 1 and a red for a 2/2 legendary creature human artificer. It's got haste. It says it can't block. It also says when it is dealt damage, exile that many cards from the top of your library, choose one of them. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card.
I'm gonna say no.
Why?
I think it's gonna suffer the same fate as Gix, dude. It's gonna be an all-star in standard, but it's not gonna move anywhere. It's not gonna go anywhere else. At least not in EDH, where unless you can buff this thing up, if it's dealt damage, it's gonna die, and then you get to get some cards.
I mean, I don't think anyone's going to play this in EDH. I think this is going to be really. I think this would be better in the 99 of another deck, rather than its own deck. Specifically, Prosper.
I kind of look at it like, I mean, he doesn't work, obviously. Like, your opponents will say, no, I'm not going to block. If it's a 2/2, I'll just take the 2 damage. That's fine. Eventually, that commander damage will hurt. But I do think this is a really good put the pants on commander. Because eventually,
What, make
this is
them
gonna
block? Yeah.
make them block. And then you basically look at the top, however many they blocked with, right?
Yeah.
I like Hunter's idea, and I'm going to springboard off that if that's cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
Give this thing indestructible, and then you can repeatedly ping it over and over and over again to exile out as many cards to the top of your library you want. He's a card draw engine so long as he's got indestructible.
Yeah.
See, look at me.
That's still, I mean, that's cool.
Didn't even talk about the ping part yet, Dave.
Yeah, because like red has plenty of options to be able to hit him over and over and over again. So, I mean, I could see him potentially digging pretty deep through your library.
Potentially.
I say potentially because there is some work that obviously you're going to need to put into making this card decent.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I was going to kind of say is basically you are building around this card pretty intensely to where you have to be able to ping him. And then not only do you have to be able to ping him, but you have to be able to ping him indefinitely if you want to draw your entire deck or if you kind of just want to go down a couple cards. And then at that point, you need to have the mana to be able to play the cards.
Well, you have until the end of your next turn. So you do have like a little bit of a window with him. He's not super punishing. Like it's not like you have to use a card that you actually had right then and there or it's gone forever. And I mean, even if you are just pinging him for like 2 or 3 per turn, being able to potentially, you're not drawing, but being able to like get that 2 or 3 extra card advantage per turn, that could be a lot.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. It's like a light up the stage, dude. That card was really fucking good, but I don't know. You have to reliably be able to give him indestructible in that case too. If not, then just only ping him for a little bit.
I think that's going to be very difficult to do. There's a lot of equipment out there that can do it.
Well,
Ping,
you draw them.
Let's move on to the grades. David, what are you giving it?
You know what? I was originally a little bit lower on this card than what I was anticipating, but I'm gonna stick actually with like a C on this. I think that he does have some wiggle room to grow. I like the idea that this might actually be the Voltron commander because he is so easy to cast and because he's got haste too. Like he's gonna come out immediately, and if your opponents do kill him, he only costs 4, still has haste, and you probably still have all of the boots around to like throw him right back on there with the mana you have left over. So I'm sticking with a C.
David, did I change your mind? Oh my god.
You did. Congratulations.
Thank you. I am also giving it a C.
You got the one. You got the 100, but I'm sticking with the D.
Dang.
Yeah, you only got the 1. I'm sticking with the D.
Man,
I guess I'm the simpleton.
It's okay, David. Our grade matters because this average here is a C.
Got him.
Moving on, this is Mishra Excavation Prodigy. Mishra Excavation Prodigy is 2 and a red for a 2/1 legendary creature, human artificer. It has haste. It also has an ability where you can pay 1, tap it, discard a card, draw a card. And whenever you discard 1 or more artifact cards, you can add 2 red to your mana pool. This ability triggers only once each turn. So the exact kind of opposite of Urza.
Not here for it.
No one.
I mean, he's got haste, so I think I actually like this more than Urza.
Well, because you can use it right away. That's cool, yeah. But what is this one? What is it called the other way around? Pillaging?
Looting.
Looting. Oh, really? Because I said looting last
No,
time.
no. Looting is draw, and then it's rummaging, I think.
Rummaging, whatever. Yeah, I mean, are there really upsides to that? Like, if you have a madness, right? Maybe this is a madness deck.
I mean, it could be. It's just whenever you discard 1 or more artifacts, so it's like you don't technically have to use his ability to do it.
Yeah.
I do think that the 2 red mana is probably more powerful than a tapped Powerstone, and at least from my point of view.
I'll agree with you there because you can use it right away.
And you aren't locked into just artifacts.
That's true. I still don't think it's good though. Sorry.
All right, Steven, convince us why you put down that this card was an A.
Wow. Where are you reading that?
Putting you on the spot for no reason.
It's my list, Axia. You've been very quiet. I want you to talk.
I mean, this card's not good, but it's not bad. I mean, it has haste, which is fantastic, and more than likely you'll have 1 to pay to discard a card and draw a card, so you can rummage through a little bit, and it'll give you 2 mana that you can use that turn to play what you possibly drew. So I think it's middle of the road.
Oh, so that's why
that's
it's
a thing.
It's not an A.
He was being facetious.
Well, then let's move on to grades, and we will start with you, Steven. What is it?
I mean, originally I put down a D. I think that, the 2 mana is kind of nice. I really hate the fact that it's once each turn. So for that reason, I'm gonna come up a little bit, but I'm gonna give it a C.
Disagree. I'm giving it a D. Sticking.
I'm gonna give it a C too, Steven.
I'm gonna go with a D.
Look at that, opposite of the last card. So Shane and Steven, your average grade for the card is a C. Next up, this is Gwenna, Eyes of Gaea. Gwenna, Eyes of Gaea is 2 and a green for a 2/3 legendary creature elf druid scout. Has an ability where you can tap it to add 2 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells or activate abilities of a creature or creature card. And whenever you cast a creature spell with power 5 or greater, put a +1/+1 counter on Gwenna, Eyes of Gaea, and untap it. So essentially, this is a dork that only does green because it would be a mono green commander.
Yeah, and that's why I said this wasn't made to be a commander. I think this is only in the 99 of another deck, which is really cool. But I mean, at the end of the day, this is a dork for a mono green beater deck, which is, standard, I guess.
Isn't a dork by definition a 1 mana creature you can tap for mana?
Yeah, this is a nerd, dude.
Tap. Is it a nerd?
This is a nerd, dude.
Not a dork. But
Nerds
nerd?
are bigger than dorks, dude.
Yeah, this is a mana nerd.
I'm for it, dude. Big green stompy. Let's go, baby. I'm not even the green player at the table, and I'm for it.
Bleh.
You telling me that I can help on turn 3? On turn 4, I could play something that's 5 or greater, untap it, gets a buff. Maybe the thing I played as haste, like it's gonna be just smashing your fucking face. Let's go, dude.
Let's go, dude. I think the best part about this ability is you cast that big creature. You can cast another big creature if you have the mana.
You got the mana, yeah, exactly. And this chick will grow. Like it's, I'm for it. I'm for it, Hunter.
I mean, turn 4, you got 6 mana.
Yeah.
That's saying if you haven't ramped.
Pretty good.
Dave, you got anything else to add?
This is one of 2 green cards we're going to talk about that I think has direct competition with other cards that do the exact same thing, and this is just a worse version.
Whatever, hater.
Like, for reals, I look at this and I'm like, oh, dude, I want to play big smashy things. And then I think, okay, well, if I want to play big smashy things, why would I play this over Keenan? Or why would I play this if I want to play with a lot of like mana dorks? Why would I not play this over Ragadraga? Because I think they both do this exact kind of job much better.
100%. But David, I think the issue that you're having and that you're not realizing is that Kinnan has blue in it and Ragadraga has other colors other than green as well. And
yeah, he's got red in it.
Yeah, that's the problem. This is mono green. Come on, man.
How is that a problem? You get all of those big green things and the things of another color too.
Why? And then, why would I want to add another color that makes it better?
You know what? You've got a good point.
Let's move on to the grades, boys.
I hate you guys.
David, what are you giving it?
I'm gonna say that this is a C. It's a big smashy beater deck. It doesn't provide any kind of card draw, and I feel like oftentimes with these kinds of decks, if you don't have that card draw integrated into it, like, I don't know, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I'm just not a big fan.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump on with you. This is a C.
Hunter, let's say it together. You fuck.
Oh. What are you gonna say?
I wanted us to say it together.
All right. I'm gonna give it a.
I have B.
B.
Wonder Twin Powers. Activate.
Y'all are so disjointed.
That was sick, dude. That was like when we high-fived and missed 4 times, dude. That was sick.
The average here is gonna be a B. Moving on, we have Titania, Nature's Force. Titania, Nature's Force is 4 and 2 green for a 6/6 legendary creature elemental. It says you may play Forest from your graveyard. And whenever a forest enters the battlefield under your control, create a 5/3 green elemental creature token. And whenever an elemental you control dies, you may mill 3 cards. It seems good.
But yeah, I think David and I had a long talk about this card, dude.
It's still 6 mana, though.
Yeah, which is not, I don't think the bad part about it.
I mean, it's 6 mana. Dude, this card has me so heated. This is the only card in the set that I think I've been so passionate about, if I'm being honest with you.
I mean,
try to convince us.
Do you
What is
play
there to
Omnath?
convince, dude? It's 6 mana in green. You ramp in green. That's all you do. And then you play big creatures. But hey, you don't even need to play big creatures because all you have to do is play lands. You play the land, you get a 5/3 elemental creature token. Not to mention, this doesn't have the stipulation that every other single card in this set basically has where it happens once a turn. You can play lands from your graveyard. Super sweet. I love that. And then whenever an elemental dies, you mill 3 cards. So then you get to put those lands in your graveyard. You're sacking your lands by playing things like crop rotation or other cards that sacrifice your lands. And then you can play them from your graveyard. You're playing cards that basically let you play multiple lands every single turn. Now you have a fucking army of green elemental creature tokens. Not to mention that you also have cards like Burgeoning that when another person plays a land, you play a land. What is it you don't see?
Just gonna let him. Is he done?
I'm done.
I think
Have
we
you
made
played?
him upset.
You played Omnath before, dude?
Oh my god! Wait, no! You're not allowed to steal my thunder.
No, this is what you and I talked about. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
All right,
David, I said
you
this
go.
on the last card.
Go for it, dude.
You don't need to add another color.
You don't. And that's not even why I'm thinking that Omnath is better.
Omnath makes
It's one of the
5/5s,
reasons.
dude.
He does. He makes 5/5s. He
And you get hit.
costs. So he costs the same. He makes 5/5s, and whenever those 5/5s die, you hit
They
your
deal
opponent
damage.
for 3. So
Yeah.
board wipes fucking suck because you're still pushing in for a ton of damage, even in the case that your things die. I don't think he's a good commander, and I've owned that deck. I've played that deck dozens of times, and I have never won with it.
Okay.
So why is it that I would think that a worse version of that card would be better is beyond me. I don't know.
David's crazy. Omnath is really fun, but that's the only part I disagree with David on.
I don't think that I've ever won with that deck. And
Yeah, well,
that
I've never
deck,
won with
like what you said, Stephen, is a dedicated ramp deck. It's not difficult for me to get 30 lands in play.
Dedicated wham.
I mean, I agree. I just think at the end of the day, like if somebody didn't want to play Omnath and they just wanted to play mono green, just like with the last card, if they just want to play mono green with a nerd dork hashtag, I just think that this, if somebody wants to see this, they play this and they really like it. I think that this is a super strong card, especially built the right way. I think this is going to be an amazing card, especially if you play a card very simple, Splendid Reclamation. You bring back every single land card from your graveyard back onto the battlefield. And then if you're playing, with fetches, that's double the fact. I think this is super strong. And I think that even if you kill this a few times, you're still in green and you're playing a shit ton of land.
And you absolutely are, but I look at it like at 6 mana, you've probably already played your land for the turn to get this thing into play. Like, are you going to wait until you have 7 to be able to drop this and then drop your land? Because if your opponent interacts with this literally does nothing.
Maybe at a fetch.
I mean, but at the end of the day, I think the point I'm trying to make is, although this is a really good commander, I think that you do also build around the deck with landfall creatures as well. And there's tons of landfall creatures that when a land enters the battlefield, not only are you going to make a 4/4 boar, or you're going to make a shit ton of Scute Swarms. I granted, it all dies to a board wipe, but at the end of the day, this is still really solid.
I know you're stoked on it, but just play
100% stoked. And I'm going to build
play
this,
Omnath,
actually.
dude.
I'm building. No, fuck you.
I feel like you should build Omnath.
No, fuck you.
Jeez,
At this
guys.
point, you're just like hate building, dude.
So I think it's better than 99 of something like Lord Windgrace.
Oh, shut. We don't care about your opinion.
All right, let's
Okay.
move on to grades. Nobody cares about Hunter's opinion on this.
This would probably be really good in the 99 of like Omnath.
It
Also
probably
true.
would. Think about him and Omnath to get on the board. Holy shit.
Nope, I'm just building this.
You would get 2.
Steven, what is the grade here?
I put down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 12, 18, 24.
put a lot of
I put
A's.
down 30 A's.
So it's
Cool.
30A.
I'm still giving it a C.
I'm going to give it a C too.
I'm also going with a C. I'm not
sorry,
actually very
Steven.
high.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to play
Guys are
Omnath.
nuts, dude.
I'm just going to play Omnath, dude.
Well, I'll tell you what, Steven actually brought that average up. So the average here is going to be a B.
Good.
Yeah, you did it, dude.
Let's move on to the shittier one.
Moving on to Titania, Voice of Gaea. Titania, Voice of Gaea is 1 and 2 green for a 3/4 legendary creature elemental. It has reach. It says whenever 1 or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, you gain 2 life. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 4 or more land cards in your graveyard, and you both own and control Titania, Voice of Gaea, and a land named Argive, Sanctum of Nature. Exile them, then meld them into Titania, Gaea Incarnate.
Steven, will you agree with me that Titania is bad?
I will agree with you that Titania, Voice of Gaea, is bad.
Damn it!
I need Hunter to explain to me why melding only works once.
Because you exile the other part.
How did David keep doing it?
I
He
didn't
did
keep doing
once.
it.
We never
You
killed
did
this
it
thing.
once?
I did it
Yeah.
once, and I protected the shit out of that card.
That card, that was nuts. Well, this card ain't his neck. It's not that card, so.
Yeah, this card only really does the one or more lands and put into a graveyard. You gain 2 life. That's kind of all it's got going for it. Because if you do meld it and it does get flipped, like I said, melding only works one time. Because if that card, Gaea Incarnate, dies, you never get to do it again. And you just get the first ability from the rest of the game.
Unfortunate. Because if you could protect her, I know she's not as strong as the Mishra, but it'll be a star depending on your lands, and it has like haste and other shit. And so it's definitely a big ass beater, but unfortunately the flip side is also not your commander, so commander damage won't do shit.
Yeah, so I think we're all on board here. Let's move on to the grades. I'm giving it an F. Pains me to do so, but it's
I think
not
it does the thing though, so I'm gonna give it a D.
It occasionally gains you life. This card's an F.
You're crazy. Titania's amazing, dude.
I don't understand. It does something. Why are we giving it an F?
Because it doesn't do anything. It gains you life. That's nothing in a game of EDH. You could have 1,000,000 life and still lose the game in the next turn.
Ask Hunter, yeah.
Ask Hunter. I'm gonna give it a D. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying it's fantastic, but it still does something.
There you go,
All
bud.
right. Well, the average grade for Titania, Voice of Gaea, is a D.
Oh my god, last
Moving on
card.
to the final card. This is Liberator Urza's Battlethopter. Liberator Urza's Battlethopter is 3 generic mana for a 1/2 legendary artifact creature Thopter. It has flash. It has flying. It says you may cast colorless spells and artifact spells as though they had flash. It also says whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast that spell is greater than Liberator Urza's Battlethopter's power, put a +1/+1 counter on Liberator. Seems cool. Don't really get to see a really cool colorless commander too often, because most of the time it's giant Eldrazi beaters that are legendary. But I think this is actually doable. So
in other words, what you're telling me is this is cool because instead of putting the big legendary Eldrazi beater as your commander, you put this and then still play big Eldrazi beaters?
yeah, they have
Just
flash.
flip them.
Yeah.
Yo, flashing in, that would be nuts.
Flashing in things with Annihilator.
That'd be a
And
lot
that
of
was
mana.
and that was basically my my comment here was this is a secret Eldrazi commander for no reason other than flash.
Surprise! Eldrazi's.
Maybe there's other ways to do it too, because you need a shit ton of mana to be doing flashy
I know.
Eldrazi.
I love how they go to the 11 mana tribal thing.
Your
Hey.
hand's gonna be thick.
You don't know.
I mean,
mean-
I don't know what Eldrazi decks you've played against, Shane, but anytime I play against an Eldrazi deck, they normally come out turn 5 or 6.
Well, they're
Wait, how do
cheating.
they do that? Do they ramp into them?
Yeah.
Wait,
That's cheating.
like how do they ramp into them?
You have cost reduction. You have things that say when you play colorless spells, it makes an extra mana. I mean, there's tons of artifacts that do that.
There's not really a whole lot of options here whenever it comes to colorless. The fact that you're playing in colorless means that you're playing with suboptimal interaction, suboptimal card draw. I think the fact that this doesn't have a color is a very significant drawback.
Hey, they got Soul Ring, dude.
I mean, listen, I'm not saying that Eldrazi is fun or interactive. All I'm saying is that this is a funny card because it is a secret Eldrazi commander. That is the only thing about this card that is funny to me.
See,
How do
whenever
you
I
know
think
that?
whenever I look at this card, I don't think Eldrazi at all. Though I look at this like this is an artifact tribal based card because all of my artifacts now have flash.
True.
I mean, cool. You can. I mean, I don't know. I think that if I want to hurt somebody, I want to hurt them bad.
And that's why my thought is like, why do we go to Eldrazi, the thing that costs about 1 million mana that you're gonna have to slowly ramp into, and colorless really doesn't do a very good job of ramping into it. Why not instead choose another route where it's like, okay, well, instead of playing one big smashy thing on turn 900, I get to cast 2 or 3 things per turn with flash and try to like mess my opponents up that way.
You're so,
Nah.
turn 900. That's so funny.
I mean, let's be real.
I mean, let's just overload a Vandal Blast, call it a day.
You can't. This doesn't have red.
No, I'm just saying the opponent.
Let's
That's a lot of
just
the grades.
have fun.
I am going to stick with my original grade. I'm giving this a C. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, and just because it is cool, I'll give it a C for the lulz.
A very powerful effect, and that's why I'm going to give it a D. The colorless here is a very significant minus, though.
This card is so cool and really powerful. I'm giving it a D.
Oh, you did a David thing there.
No, it's
You
like
just
it's.
copied all of us together. And just
I
we're all
mushed
saying
them all
cool,
together.
Powerful.
Yeah.
So the average here is going to be a C. And that is going to do it for the monocolored legendaries of the Brothers War. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, comment down below. Do you agree with our grades? Do you disagree with our grades? Let us know.
Tell me why Titania is actually supposed to be good.
Ooh.
I already did.
You tried.
But also, while you're down there, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Also, in the description, you'll find links to our Twitter, our Instagram, and our TikTok. That is @GuysMagic for all of them. Give us a follow. And until the next video, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Later.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.